everybody. Welcome to the Diversity Wines first B2B webinar. I'm so excited to have everybody joining us. I'm Jerry. I am the head of B2B for Diversity Wines. And before I introduce our fabulous guest, I just want to tell you that this is one of the things that we're doing here is we are looking to bring really great information that's going to help you do better business to our Diversity Wines community. So if you have any suggestions or any ideas, just email info@Diversity Wines and make your suggestions on what you'd like to learn about. So without further ado, I am so happy to introduce our special guest. Please help me welcome Sam Parra, proprietor of Parra Wine Company. Welcome, Sam. It's nice to see you.
Thank you. Likewise.
So I'm going to just jump right into this. And for everybody listening and watching, we're going to go for about 35 minutes. Sam and I are going to have a conversation. We're going to dig deep into his expertise, and then we're going to open it up for questions and answers. So why don't we go ahead? I'm going to ask you just in the beginning, Sam. I mean, you opened Parra Wine Company in 2019. Tell us about your winery. How would you describe your winery?
I am a micro producer where I source all my grapes. So for everybody in the industry, that means I do not own a single vine at all. And I lease space in a cooperative in McMinnville. This means after producing the wine, I have to get the wine out of the co-op into storage, and then it's ready to be sold soon after, depending on the varietal, the wine in general. I do not have a tasting room right now. I'm very proactive on pop-ups. And what we're going to dive into is more just about personal connections and truly the skill of networking.
I like it. I like it. So let me get to our first. Okay, so you've secured grants. This is obviously why we have you here. And I know that you've told me about these. Tell me, why don't we tell our audience, tell us a little bit more about those grants, like, how many you've gotten, and just tell us a little bit about them.
Of course, the very first one came about through Chemeketa Small Business Development Center, located in Salem, Oregon. I was referred to a law center to trademark my P logo right at the birth of my company. These are students doing the work, make sure that my branded P logo that's shaped like a vine. I have 3 ridges on the root representing the 3 generations in the wine business. And all the work was overseen by lawyers. The sum of the amount of hours put into this work ranges about 7,000 to 8,000. I only had to submit repayments to the government of what's actually paid in the process of a trademark of protection. So that is quite the savings when you're only paying $350 versus what would it cost me for lawyer fees, again ranging from 7,000 to 8,000. So that was in a form of an assistance, not of an actual sum amount of a grant. But again, that is truly a blessing for a company starting out on a shoestring budget. Soon after that, it has been 4 years in a row that I seek grants to update my website. These have been a combination through the Hispanic Metropolitan Chamber in Portland. More recently, it was through an association of a Filipino-American collaboration with Native American Business Association in Portland, that they're actually going to be sharing the same office with the first organization that I mentioned. So these are all grants in the community that, again, I will be highlighting based on, at least for this region, of what help and what associations are out there. And I did provide you the links of more of a national scale, which again, I will touch base on certain regions of the US based on questions that we'll receive later.
It begs the question, what made you decide to even start researching grants in the first place? Like, this is not a typical way to go.
Myself being in an industry that's dominated by multi-generational wealth, and myself bootstrapping a project where one just finds the means and the resources. I definitely grew up with a mentality of closed mouths do not get fed. So it's a matter of research, and also my recent grants came about from an advertisement on LinkedIn, and that was through the international wine company Naked Wines, which has offices in Australia and the UK. And that was during Hispanic Heritage Month in 2023. Uh, and I was one of three Latino brands awarded $10,000. And then at the same year, I also participated with Latino founders based in Portland, where I got to pitch in a full room. Uh, I was still quite nervous, even for myself. I always feel comfortable in public speaking, or I consider myself outgoing. But I feel when the pressure comes on as far as pitching a company, I was quite nervous, but I still got awarded 2,500 during Pitch Latino in Portland.
What were the parameters of those aside from being
Of
of
course,
Latino heritage? What were the
yes.
parameters? Did you have to meet certain criteria?
Yes, you can definitely set aside in general your background, your ethnicity. It's just based first is you better have everything lined up on the business side. You better have everything lined up for a P&L, a business plan. They want to know why they want to provide you this grant on a financial business side, but also for Naked Wines and for Pitch Latino, I did express that away from the standard 750 format that you see behind me, I am the second domestic Latino wine brand in the US to can wine. And I am the first Latino wine brand in the US to own a wine formula. And that is for my cinnamon tea hibiscus infused wine called Tómalo Frío. And that is inspired of the Mexican agua fresca Jamaica. So that was a combination of what is trending in the market right now for younger consumers are canned wines, and also the infused wine category as well. And then, of course, there's a growth out there in the non-alcoholic sector, which I have done some research for companies that are providing these services. But even the minimum requirement for one wine alone, I'm too small of a company to invest in this sector right now, which again is quickly growing.
So if you could share with us, or could you share with us, what you used so for $10,000 is quite a bit of money. I mean, 2,500. What did you tell them what you were planning on using the funds for? And did you have to show them proof that you used them for what you said that you were going to use them for?
Uh, you do,
Okay.
you do. The $10,000 covered the hibiscus infused wine, and it covered one can wine.
Okay.
Yeah. So imagine I'm showing them grape contracts. I'm showing them the cost of what I pay per tonnage at the cooperative.
Hmm.
Those are the bigger expenses. But then come everything else as far as the registration of owning a wine formula. You always pay government fees. The cost of glass, the can alone, the label. Uh, the hibiscus infused wine was in a screw cap bottle. So those were lighter glass half bottles. Um, and from there, a bill of transporting the wine from the cooperative to my storage place. So, yes, just like I mentioned on the business side, you better have your ducks in a row.
Do you think it mattered to them what you were going to do with the funds? I mean, so in other words, like, were they looking for innovation and you happen to have innovation, or would they have said you can use it for a different, you know, facet of your business? Like, did it matter, do you think?
For the Latino founders, I was the only company in alcohol category, but for naked wines, um, I don't have the information of how many Latino Latinx brands throughout the U.S. applied for these grants. Um, Even for the Latina community throughout the U.S., there are very few brands in general throughout the U.S. So say all of us applied for this. I feel that's roughly about 120 to 130 brands, possibly in the U.S. And I'm one of three that got awarded 10,000. The grand winner took 25,000.
Wow, that's amazing. Let me see. Now, and you said that you do have to show them how you spent the money, or is it once they issue it to you, that's it?
No, you have to show them how you spend the money.
Okay. So, can you tell us how you found out about, so for example, this Naked Wines $10,000 um award?
Yes, that was through they advertised through LinkedIn.
Oh,
Uh,
that was the advertiser.
yes, I actually thought that at first there was going to be scholarships for education. And I'm like, wow, this is really nice of them. Let me open up the link, read about this. And the deadline was not far out. And I read deeper into the article. I'm like, wait, I have been so many years just within business. And I kept going down the list. I'm like, wait, this is not for students. This is for me.
Wow. So, you know what, can you
And then,
take,
and I'm sorry, and then the
oh, go ahead.
Latino Founders Connection. That was through networking in Portland. How I've met the founders of Latino founders in general.
That is very cool. You know, can you take us through a little bit of okay, and you said that you have to have your business plan, you have to say that you have to have your P&L. Can you take us through, give us an idea of what that application process is? So do you go and fill out your application online? Do you download it and fill it out, you know, on a PDF?
Uh,
And what types of questions do they ask you?
of course, everything was done online through their unique portals. Um, and just as we submit receipts as well, everything's submitted through the portal alone. Um, what questions were asked? Common questions were how many years you have been in business. Common questions have been, are you in partnership? Are you a sole proprietor? Common questions are do you feel you're you're not represented well in the industry financially, of what background you come from, um, and again for the business side for the P&L, and then showing in general how one is a self-funded company. Again, they want to know where you got your income to begin with.
Yeah, when you were talking about being self-funded, or when you were talking about whether you were underrepresented you felt that you were underrepresented in the industry, did you play up any of those points, or did you just sort of state them matter of factly?
Oh, not at all. In general, for funding for my wine brand, um, I only shared one day off at the time with my wife. And so the other day was a Tuesday, and I seeked out extra work through this valley in bottling. Whether you're in a bottling line standing up or you're in the mobile truck, it's a matter of just working the good old fashioned way, working just extra. This began in February of 2017. At one point, I was on call bottling for 12 different wineries,
Mm,
and I was financially ready to process 3 tons of the harvest of 2018.
got it. I'm going
Yes.
to pause 1 second because we do have some questions. Alicia Kidd, okay, the grants that Sam is talking about, we are going to be delivering a PDF to you with some grant sources that Sam has been kind enough to put together. So, but if you could Sam could run through the 4 different grants that you got so that Alicia knows which ones you're talking about.
Yeah, of course. And actually, to ask where is she based out of, just in case if I know something on top of my head.
Yeah, Alicia, if you want to put in the chat where you're based, and while
Oh,
she's
I'm
doing
sorry.
that, we'll go ahead and
Let
if you
me let me get to the chat myself as well.
want to. Oh, she's in California.
Okay. Um, what county is she in?
Which county are you in? Alameda.
Oh, Alameda, the East Bay. Um, well, I would seek out first, away from the list that I sent to them of the national ones they're going to show you. For Alameda, I would seek out your local Chamber of Commerce. For Alameda, I would seek out a small business development center. Um, for California, they have, I mean, there's a lot of activity of events when Roots Fund travels, often through California, network with such organizations that are supporting our community.
Got it. Um, Matt Grove has asked, Sam, I heard you mention Filipinos at the beginning. I apologize for missing the entire content. Are you Filipino? I have a reason for my question, I promise.
No, the most recent grant of working on my website was through the Filipino American Business Association in Portland, because they actually share the same building as the Hispanic Metropolitan Chamber. But myself, I'm Mexican American.
Got it. So if anybody can't get into chat, please just feel free to use the Q&A if you have any questions. So I'm going to go on and ask you, go on to a couple more questions. So um, how would you recommend, I mean, aside from the list that you're going to deliver, that folks find out about grant opportunities? Like, for example, did you look for any certain special search terms? Or did you just do broad searches? And you said, like, for example, on LinkedIn, you saw an ad. Is there anywhere else you would recommend staying available and open to see these opportunities?
Of course, at least for myself here in Oregon, again, it all started with Chemeketa Small Business Development Center. And again, everything happened through networking, where I happened to be spending more time in Portland, where I connected with the early stage of what eventually became Latino Founders. Also here locally, the county north of myself is Yamhill County. There's always economical growth grants. Seek out in local counties what local economic grants are out there for businesses in general. And it just leads to one contact after another, again, of networking. At least here locally, there's Oregon Entrepreneur Network. They're based in Portland. There's Livelihood Northwest is another nonprofit in Portland where you actually qualify for a cohort, which is basically you're getting a business mentorship. If you have worked on a plan before, they always help you look deeper into a business plan. Um, and of course, I mentioned meeting the Latino founders. And there's also Launch Mid Valley are organizing pitch events where you're in front of a live audience, and just picture it as a Shark Tank, but on a very smaller local scale. So myself, how did I find out about all these organizations? Is networking and diving deeper into questions of of who and where are they.
Got it. And Denise Clark, I got your question. I'm going to get to you in a second. So with that, okay, so there's been pitch opportunities where you have to, like a Shark Tank type of situation. Now, you are a good public speaker, but did you practice? Would you practice your pitch? I mean, what would you recommend for somebody in that area?
Oh yeah, definitely try to spend a little time in front of the mirror. Um, possibly have a little courage juice on your wine glass. Possibly some folks get motivated with just fine wine on your glass, or not. That might trigger something in you where find out in general what is it? What is your Zen zone in general? How do you get calm? And again, nobody can really be prepared to know what attendance will be, where you might think that you're going to have 50 folks in front of you, and all of a sudden that turns to 250. And that can change quickly when you're on stage and thinking that you're ready. I
Mhm.
would just say for a pitch, read it over and over and over again in front of the mirror, in front of loved ones, um, in front of your dog. For myself, being a dog dad, I was comfortable enough to read it to my Boston Terrier. Practice makes perfect.
And for the written, so when you're filling out a grant, applying for a grant in a written format, how many times do you rewrite that? Or or do you just know what you're going to say? I mean, how long
The,
would you say that you spend on that answer, on those
yeah,
critical answers?
yes, that is all based on the feedback that you receive from a mentor of these programs or a business advisor that the small business development might pair you with. Always be open to take advice and feedback, and for folks pointing out flaws in business plans. Um, just go in there with an open mind.
Yeah, that's okay. So far, I just want to recap in case anybody's come in late that there are numerous grants available. A great place to start is to start locally. And also it helps to have another set of eyes and ears available to you who can help you out and say, somebody with experience in this area. And that might mean maybe there's some folks in this community who can sort of network with each other and say, hey, what do you think of this? So that would be very important to make sure that you take this seriously, and then to have your business plan and your P&Ls and everything set, because they're going to be asking for that. So Denise Clark would like to know, would the local economic grants be with chambers of commerce?
As I stated earlier, yes, that is the very first source for all states out there. Go to a local chamber of commerce. Go to the your county itself and ask who's in charge of local economic development programs. That is the key for county and government. Local economic offices.
Got it. So why do you think that, I mean, you've gotten 4 grants. That's typically 4 more grants than many winery owners get. So
Well,
what is it that you have done that you feel has made you successful in this?
I mean, the 4 grants are alone on folks working on my website where it was not in funding. It would have been something that I would have to pay, but the grant covers the company doing the work. And then I had the trademark one and found Latino founders and Naked Wines. That is 7 of them total.
Oh, wow.
And again, I feel that's the more the mentality of closed mouths do not get fed. And for myself, stating earlier, just keep networking, uh, stay in touch with certain contacts again at local economic development programs and chamber of commerce. It's always the follow through.
Right. Okay. So this has a lot to do with doing your research, finding the grants, and not just passively hearing about them, and then networking with people and making sure that you've got so it's almost like a not a job, but a category of your job is
It,
to say, I keep this on my radar. I make sure to network and ask around. So
it
that's
is, and be ready to put in the commitment of time as well.
mm. Do you mean time in making sure that you fill it out properly and that
Yeah,
sort of thing?
or certain programs like Livelihood Northwest in Portland, you will be in a cohort in a class. For Latino founders, I was in a cohort. We met on a weekly basis, and again, this is basically a business development program. Everything's tied in to review your business plan, to organize your pitch deck if you're pitching in front of an audience. It's an actual pitch deck that you're working on. It's
Hmm.
basically a PowerPoint going page by page of what you will be talking about in general to convince the audience to vote for you.
Mm.
Tie in a personal story in general, your background, why of they want to know the why they need this grant, get everything lined up for what you're doing now for your company and what your plan of to achieve and your goals for the future.
Matt Grove wants to know if you write your own grants or if you outsource to a grant writer.
Oh, I I would not even be applying for these grants because again, I do not have the financial means for a grant writer. No, this is all on one schedule. Again, that's why I mentioned make sure to be dedicating the time. And as you mentioned as well, this could be kind of its own job. No, I don't have the means for a grant writer.
Okay, that's good to know. So this is definitely doable on your own. You do not have to,
Yeah,
yeah.
yes, because I mean, for somebody that has money to the means to pay a grant writer could range in thousands of dollars. And if you're submitting receipts and everything that you do for these companies, they might see, well, you have the means to pay for a grant writer. um, I feel for a lot of these programs is for one, for self-improvement, um, and again to financially help you out. I don't really feel it's going to be a good fit for somebody that has the means for a grant writer, unless it's one of the links that I sent you for a national level. I have not seen those companies out because for myself, I know in general for what I want to do for the future right now, as far as I'm happy being a boutique producer. I am happy right now not having a tasting room with everything happening with the economy right now, where if I would open a brick and mortar, I would be one of many tasting rooms out there that are open. And just right now, it's not a good time with the economy. Here in Oregon, tourism is down second year in a row. And again, what we're all facing as the alcohol industry as a whole, last year was the worst year in sales for hops in Oregon and Washington for the beer industry.
Mm.
And of course, for wine, there's the international, there's the glut of inventory on an international scale. It seems like everywhere you hear the same story of everybody having extra inventory. That's why, again, I wanted to express how, even for myself as a small company, I do have the mentality of a large company where I make my passion wines, but this is why I found an option to can some wine. That is always a growing category with younger demographics. And this is why I was inspired to look into a wine formula. And again, something that celebrates my heritage, being of the agua fresca Jamaica. And again, having the infused wine category that is quite popular. You can say in anything ranging from the actual style of wine, like mead wine, is is doing quite well in the market. And I feel for just any company, um, just go in the mentality you're either going to swim or sink.
And we're going to be sending that particular PDF. I just shared my screen. We're going to be sending that out as well. And Matt Grove is very glad to hear your answer about the grant writers because they are expensive. So that is, I mean, like I said, it is very, very good to know that a grant writer is not needed, and that, and I'm also hearing you say that if you have something special in your winery, that can be a big highlight, that can be a draw, and you can use that as a selling point for you receiving that grant. Denise Clark wants to know, what were the areas you received grants? What were the areas where you received that you received grants?
Oh, of course. In case if she's joining this late, the very first one I covered was covering the legality side of trademark for my logo. And this is actually at a law school at a university in Salem. The other four grants would cover, I guess, e-commerce and a website. Uh, the last two that I covered are definitely more to help a company scale up. Where is she based out of?
Denise, where are you based? We're waiting to hear from her.
Okay.
San Diego County.
Okay, for San Diego County. Well, I mean, you have a growing region of Temecula. The same advice, myself not knowing, visiting that beautiful area, but not knowing again as far as um, what sources are there. I'm sorry, how far she's away from an office in her county, um, or a small business development center, and a local college in general that might offer some wine studies. I'm not sure of actual programs for the education side in San Diego.
Denise says she's one of few female veteran-owned, woman-owned female winemakers. So
Okay, that
I love
that
it.
is definitely to seek out um, for veterans associations. They're very proactive through the U.S. To help veterans out.
Excellent. I love it. Well, before, Matt Grove wants to know if Denise will share her brand. So while Denise is doing that, I would like to ask, it's as we're going to be wrapping up here. If you had one piece of advice to give winery owners in terms of finding and winning grants, what would it be? What would that piece of advice be?
Just as any business owner trying to keep their business alive, just keep moving forward, keep asking questions, keep networking. It's all about who you know.
Excellent.
It's all about out there. What contacts want to help you out? Based on a grant. Um, one thing I do want to express of a boutique company that I saw in California, um, going more of the route of a GoFundMe. Um, that is that could be more beneficial of obviously somebody that wants to help you out just directly as a person in general. Keep in mind with a GoFundMe, um, it's going to be quite different on a tax bracket, everybody. Sometimes you might see a business, talking about how tourism has been down or their actual sales have been down uh, from previous years, and they personally seek out help from a GoFundMe. I'm recommending do not go that route. You are going to find the support of folks that want to financially help you out, but it's going to be in a very different tax bracket as well versus actual grants. That again, once everybody's in business, you know that you have to seek out to work with certain tax companies that actually work in the industry that we're in. So that is another piece of advice I would not recommend. Um, I definitely do not want to call contributions of a GoFundMe of somebody being bailed out, or again being financially contributions to an individual. Again, tax purpose is going to be very different, everybody. So again, just have your ducks in a row on a business side. But going back to direct advice, for all of us in this industry on a very micro scale and struggling, everybody just keep moving forward, network, and stay very close to your allies and your connections out there that you make again in that on a national level in that county or that small business development center or that local business development program.
Got it. Actually, and that's one of the reasons that we're building out the B2B segment of Diversity Wines is that we know that there are a lot of individual winery owners out there, and collectively, you all have an amazing amount of knowledge. And so we wanted to create an environment where, as we build out the community, you guys are going to be able to network among yourselves and exchange ideas and learn about opportunities. Our whole goal is to increase opportunities for diverse winery owners. So, and Denise is with Altipiano Vineyard and Winery in Escondido, which is above San Diego Wild Animal Park in the Highland Valley area.
That's
So,
that's
if we don't have any other questions, if you do have questions, go ahead and stick them in because we're going to be wrapping up soon. But as we're waiting, Sam, in case anybody wants to reach out to you, do you want to give them, I mean, whether you're like, should they follow you on Instagram? Should they connect with you on, on Facebook or LinkedIn, or do you have a, I mean, where can they get more Sam?
I feel step one, please provide them my Parra Wineco, Parra Wineco at Gmail. That would be the step one. Please email me directly. Then we can figure out in general, either connect on Zoom or Google Meet or a call. I do have my actual phone number. I still kept my 707 area code from the North Bay in general, from the Bay Area, where I'm originally from. Uh, I I'm not shy to pick up the phone. I mean, I'm not gonna pick up somebody's number I don't recognize, but you can always leave a message. I always follow through. But I think more for to stay in touch on a personal basis and for all business to business. Facebook, I'm found as Parra Wineco. My handle on Instagram is the same. On LinkedIn, I do not have a business page. LinkedIn, it's under Sam Parra. There might be different profiles out there, but in case if I'll get a little closer, if this face looks familiar on LinkedIn, feel free to reach out. But step one, please email me on Gmail. And also, I do have quite a collection of videos and collaborations on YouTube as well, everybody. Just to
Wonderful.
see,
What's your
just to
handle
see,
on YouTube?
it's under Parra Wineco. Just
Para
see,
Wineco. Okay.
yeah, see many podcasts that I've been on, different collaborations as far as wine influencers, having wine reviews as well. So that's one another piece of advice that I give to everybody. Any opportunities to hop on a podcast or to submit wine to local folks that are reviewing wines, and wine influencers that you actually like their work, not the opposite way around where somebody is seeking you out.
Got it. Well, listen, thank you so much for your time. I put your contact information in the webinar chat and your Instagram handle, and I think everybody knows you're with Parra Wine Company, Parra Wine Co. And again, thank you everybody for attending. If you have any ideas, we would love to get your feedback. info@diversitywines.com. And Sam, thank you so much for participating and you have been unbelievably generous with your knowledge. Thank you so much.
No, thank you so much. This is what it's all about in general, just for all the small companies out there. Again, for what's facing our industry right now, everybody just keep moving forward. And again, even for sales purpose, go out and join a local chamber, as many groups as you can for networking. That's just the best way to keep selling your product, because sometimes it seems that those bills come in faster than the wine is selling.
Yeah, I hear you. We are going to be sending out a copy of that PDF to you directly. And we will also let you know in an email also when this video will be available for you to view again. Again, thank you so much, everybody. We are looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.